Folks, welcome back, everybody. My name is Rudy. You're watching The Cardboard Life. We have some more Q&A questions answered today. Two in particular that a lot of you guys thumbs up in the previous video. Number one is the question on Rudy, why is there such a divide between new Magic the Gathering and old Magic the Gathering? And some of that's spilling over to new Pokemon versus old Pokemon. Why are people only obsessed with the new Fab 2.0 Flesh and Blood products versus the vintage Flesh and Blood products? And we're seeing this kind of... it is a divide, but you're seeing this huge you're seeing this polarization of these two categories, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger thing. So that's the first question we're going to answer today. And number two, a patron who's a long-term LGS store owner, been with me for many, many years. Rudy's been on YouTube for 10 years. And this particular person says, Rudy, do you think the rip and ship era is what's causing distribution to be wiped out for Magic and Pokemon? And do you think that this is just indefinitely, can this just never end? Can it continue indefinitely? So those are the two things we're going to address in this video. I thought they were kind of a little, there's some kind of crossover. That's why I decided to combine these two particular questions. Okay, everybody? So, first things first. Let's talk about the rip and ship and what's going on with distribution. And then we'll get into why I think this is a direct correlation between new Magic and old Magic. Or let's just call it new products and vintage. Because we're talking about Magic, we're talking about new play boxes, commander decks, and of course, collector boxes. Compared to 90s anything Magic. Like, if I say the word reserve list, most of you are like, what? The reserve list? Does anybody care? There's absolutely no F's given for the reserve list right now. Nobody cares. There's just nothing. Why? Because the prices aren't going up anymore, and nobody's talking about it. Therefore, the reserve list is pretty much irrelevant and dead to most of you all because there's just no opportunity. So that's where we're at in this market cycle. All right, so rip and ship thing. First, we need to talk about what's going on in society. In society, we have, well, young people, and most of us have been completely rewired to swipe and indulge in short, very short form YouTube short TikTok type content. In addition, society and consumerism and all these fancy words and capitalism, blah, 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 whatever word that you connect with the most, has rewired all of us to, well, younger people, the younger you are, the more vulnerable you are to this, because the older you are, you're more resistant to change, and you notice the change through the decades as you get older and stuff like that. So it tends to be, that's why kind of watching the younger generation, when I say younger, I mean, between like, let's say 16 to 21, the very youngins, and then let's say like 20s, 21 to 31, and then, 30s to 40s, and then above 40s, you have old farts like me. So that's where we're at. And it's very, very clear, and nobody can argue with this, that first of all, people under the age of 30, between 16 and 30, who are most of the people into the collectible card world with Magic and Pokemon, I guess even Weiss and Flesh and Blood, and I guess Star Wars, and I guess all of the card games, but they want the new stuff. They have zero nostalgia, no attachment, no fucks given about vintage anything. They want to go on their phone and swipe and see someone do silly editing and let's crack a pack a day. Should we crack it or should we keep it sealed? We have that type of culture because you can watch the video and absorb it in 30, 60, 90, 120 seconds. It's very entertaining and it's very busy work for most people. It's a very good way to keep your mind preoccupied while in school or at a job you don't like, or doing something that you're doing just enough to not get fired, right? That's kind of where it is, everybody. In the world of Magic, people want to see the newest, hottest Magic play box, collector box opened on the internet. That's what people want to see. I can do a vintage opening. I can do revised and old box openings, and they get views. Don't get me wrong, they'll get views. If I keep doing them, the views erode. Like right now, if I publish a random Legends, Antiquities, Arabian Nights opening, it'd probably get 50 to 100,000 views. Now, if I did it again next week, it'd probably get 30 to 40,000 views. Now, if I did another exact same opening of the same set of whatever it is on week 3 and 4, it'd probably get 20,000 views. For some reason, after that initial, wow, I haven't seen that in a long time, it falls off very quickly. It doesn't really matter how good or bad the pull rate is, or, it's just the way people and things are, and I don't have a good answer to why that is. I can just tell you all and report to you all what I see going on. And right now, I don't see any situation in the near term that vintage Magic or vintage Pokemon outperforms new Pokemon or new Magic. I don't know when that day will return. I don't know if I'll be on YouTube when that returns. As of right now, like I said, the chatter and the terminology I use with you all is vintage Magic is essentially in what I like to call a lost decade. It peaked in 2021, and it's been flat to negative across the board for 2022, 2023. Magic 30 was a death blow. 2024, now 2025. So essentially, we're approaching 4 solid years of a flat to negative market conditions for vintage Magic the Gathering. If we cross year 5 and 6, we can essentially just call it a lost decade. If you cross year 5, 6, and we go towards 7 to 9 to 10 years, where vintage Magic in 10 years from now, you can still buy an Alpha Beta Unlimited card at the same price it was, or cheaper than it was in 2021's peak pandemic world-ending attitude, then yeah, that's a lost decade. And also, the longer we go, the lower the probability that the market will have a recovery, and the higher the probability that it can be called what we call a dead market. I personally, obviously a guy who's got 8 figures in vintage Magic, I don't believe that's going to be the future. I put my money where my mouth is, and you guys know how much of a passion I have for old Magic. Now, I don't think that's going to change. We are going to need a special catalyst. So, this kind of ties into the next thing. The other question about the rip and ship and why are distributors out of everything. All the money, ladies and gentlemen, is flowing into new Magic and new Pokemon. It's leading the course. Okay? Don't get me wrong. You've got new white sets going crazy. You got Flesh and Blood, the hottest I've seen since almost maybe when the game came out and got huge. We have other card games doing incredibly well. There's a lot of new startups trying to make their splash in the world. But right now, Magic and Pokemon, just like as always, are leading the collectible card world through the bull market. We are in a very strong market for Magic and Pokemon, modern and new. I don't think that changes for a while. I think the leading indicator will most likely be the softening of Pokemon. I think once we see a new Pokemon set, like this Destined Rivals coming out in a month, I expect that Destined Rivals to come out higher. So essentially, look at it this way. Surging Sparks came out at like 150s, 160s. Rudy sold it to his patrons for 130s, scumbag Rudy. Then Journey Together came out, and we went from 150s, 160s. I'm sorry. I'm skipping a set here. Then, let's skip Prismatic and everything. And then Journey Together came out. Let's just go with that. I don't want to do the supplemental thing. So Journey Together comes out and goes even higher. It peaked at like 260, 270. So again, scumbag Rudy takes off, I don't know what I did, $30 a box, drops it to $230. So okay, you get 2 boxes, you get $80 off market. That seems fair. Now, we have what? We have Destined Rivals, the next set coming. And now that people are pre-ordering hundreds of boxes. There are hundreds, actually thousands of sold listings now between all eBay TCG Player combined. Over thousands of people are pre-ordering between $300 and $350 a box for Destined Rivals, the new Team Rocket set I'm calling it. So as you can see, the trend is still your friend. Okay? We have not seen a shift in behavior, shift in the buyer, shift in the economy. We have not seen a shift strong enough to derail this momentum. Okay? I believe the leading indicator will be Pokemon. Now, after Destined Rivals, what if the next set starts pre-ordering for, instead of $350, what if the next Pokemon set is back down to 200 pre-orders? What if the Pokemon set after that pre-orders for 170s? What if the Pokemon set after that, 3-4 sets from now, is pre-ordering for 150s? Oh my God. Can we say it? Below MSRP? Ah! You know? It's when I see a trend like that, or even another trend, maybe the new pre-orders for the new Pokemon sets in a year or two from now, maybe all of them are flat at 200 apiece. Instead of 220, 250, 280, 300, when we see stability, which we will, that is going to be a sign that we are about to be in a market shift on a new market cycle. So far, we're nowhere near there. It could be not Team Rocket. The Destined Rival says already, the market's already assigned the price. Thousands of people are already buying it. That is what it is. It doesn't matter. Destined Rivals could tank 20, 30%, and it's going to go from 350 back to what, 300 to 250? I mean, the market's already made up its mind that it's pretty much a $300 plus box. That's what the market's telling all of us. Most stores, most people like me, I don't even have allocations. I don't have numbers. I'm just sitting here watching these other stores take money and orders early from Timmy's. So, when that happens, I think you'll start to see a rebalance. So, back to the rip and ship question. Yes, what happens is, rip and shippers have been almost a godsend for this distribution because they buy up a lot of the products that people like me won't buy. They buy up a lot of supplemental products that people like me won't touch. They buy up a lot of leftovers, and they'll even overbid and overpay, which I've done many times for patrons to get extra products, and I've paid extra to get products, even if I have to sell it for, a higher price to patrons. If I can get more of it and offer it to more people, even if the margins are lower or if it's flat or whatever, it's still worth it sometimes. So it's a case-by-case situation. But, the rip and ship thing is a real thing. It's had a substantial impact on the market, okay? There is no way to discount that, okay? It's probably been one of the greatest things to ever happen to modern CCG, pretty much the industry. Mostly the biggest entity getting the biggest success from rip and ship is not, most of you would say, well, it's got to be investors and people like Rudy because all his stuff's going up in value. I actually think the biggest receiver of success of this is distribution because it allows them to clean everything off their books. It's very difficult to normally do that, okay? So, what does that mean? It means that, and I'm going to stand by what I've said before, the rip and ship thing is not sustainable long term. When the market shifts, the rip and ship market will collapse upon itself. And as it falls and the margins drop and the prices aren't going up and that market tilts, you're going to have more rip and shippers who stream are going to try scammy things, stealing, resealing. You're going to start to see more efforts to try to turn profitability. Right now, everyone's doing it because it's easy money. You could just do it. People joke, can you imagine if Rudy live streamed a bunch of memes and set up a whole thing and just ripped packs of old Magic and Pokemon random stuff? Yeah, it would probably make a ton of money and get a lot of views, and it would probably be a crazy thing. I don't have the time. I don't have the setup for that. It just doesn't fit in my schedule and coordinating and live. I don't have the ability. A lot of my videos I film at 2 in the morning, 10 in the morning. I don't have the ability to the live streaming and the timing. That's the issue for me and my schedule and my life. But understand, when the rip and ship industry evolves, I believe what we're going to see is continuing turbulence in the macro economy. Stock market, Wall Street, Main Street, politics, Trump, tariffs, interest rates. I think the real world is going to continue to really slosh around and shake things up. I think eventually that could be 4, 5, 6 Pokemon sets from now. Pokemon will go back to pre-ordering and the demand will level out as supply goes higher and price. Because once prices stop going up, over 50% of the people in Magic and Pokemon will leave, especially Pokemon, are going to leave instantly. Once we get a Pokemon set that comes out, ladies and gentlemen, and the set comes out at 150 and then tanks to 100, once that happens, that's it. It could just, and once the Pokemon market tilts, and it gets one bad product, the amount of people who are over-ordering, overextending, leveraging, going balls deep on every set, and all of a sudden they get pounded one time, they're going to reduce their orders. The gas stations, the carpet store, the Ace Hardware, the Home Depot who's selling Pokemon at the register, that'll go away. When that goes away, then it snowballs further because now pre-orders go even lower. It feeds on itself, also known as spiraling or a self-fulfilling prophecy. When that happens and the prices don't go up and they soften, that is where the rip and ship market will fracture and the prices will decline or stay flat, and then availability of a product is going to increase and it's going to be easy to get product again, which means prices are going to continue to have downward pressure and people aren't going to be excited because the cards aren't going to have much value, which will lead to less views, which will lead to less people willing to pay premium to buy loose packs on streaming services, and the entire machine will have to be recalibrated. That is what I feel is going to happen. That is the indicator I'm waiting for. So in conclusion of the Pokemon rip and ship conversation, when we start to see prices soften on sealed product, I believe that'll be the first shoe to drop. And no, Journey Together going from 260 all the way down to 215, 220 has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Destined Rivals pre-ordering at 350, 360. And Rudy, Destined Rivals now is only pre-ordering for 310. That's not what I'm talking about. Those are such small movements. That's market noise. I'm talking if Destined Rivals comes out, and just humor me. And let's say, the 5,000 Destined Rivals boxes I requested, I get filled 4,000 boxes. And I'm going, whoa, shit, I haven't seen that in a long time. I go back to offering patrons. They can buy a case, 2 cases, or whatever. I lower the prices and everything goes back to normal. If that happens, I assure you, the rip and ship and a lot of this industry is going to implode on itself. And you're going to see all these people who are leveraged, borrowed money, lines of credit, home equity lines of credit, credit cards, balance transfers, who have all this excess inventory. And like I told you all, those are the individuals that will crack and fall apart first because they don't have the ability to wait it out and swim through the bear market like what I did for 2-3 years. If you don't have a leverage and debt, you're not paying interest and fees, you just wait. And that's what I did for a couple of years, and that's why I was able to navigate it. A lot of internet hate and drama, but you have to deal with that in bad markets because everybody's going to be unhappy. But when the market turns, and it always does, and all of a sudden you look like a superhero or a superhuman who predicted the future. And in reality, all I did is the same thing I've been doing the last 20 years. I'm a normal guy from Florida. I bet my whole life on cardboard. I tell patrons this all the time. I bet my whole life on cardboard. Nobody believed in it. People laughed at me. I stuck with it. 20 years later, 10 years on YouTube, 10 years on Patreon. Now you guys see the results, which is crazy looking to a lot of you all who are new. That's in like the premier card grading thing I've been doing with the short videos and everything. Look, we have a lot of fun with them. We make funny short videos. And you know what the kicker is? People enjoy them. People have a good time. People literally mess and say, Rudy, that silly little daily video that you do with PCG, I look forward to it. It's funny. It gives me a little smile. And it reminds me that life, things are not always just negative and serious. And you know what the kicker is of it? It's working. PCG in the United States here, that I control operations on here, it's doing the best it's ever done. We have record volume, record orders, record new companies, record new customers, and it's been doing far greater than I thought where we would be right now. And that's, why? Because like I just told you guys, nobody believed in it. Just like me doing YouTube and building a life around cardboard. Nobody believed it. Oh, Rudy, PCG, you have a grading company? You can't compete with PSA and Beckett. Exactly. That's my point. The fact that going into this, there wasn't a single type of other business or comment. Everybody was like, oh my God, this thing's going to blow up. And the fact that everyone believes the same thing, I tell you guys, Contrarian Rudy, that's how I know it's ripe for disruption. The fact that competitors in the card grading space they are so damn confident and they laugh at anyone else who grades cards, and the public you don't get it. Card grading is about brand recognition, and it takes 5 to 10 years to build up a big enough company, get enough slabs in the market to get your name recognized, whereas you all would say, Rudy, there's no premium compared to PSA 10. It takes time because people don't bid it up in the same premium as PSA because they stick with PSA what they're comfortable. And I do like PSA. I used PSA since 2005 when I was a teenager kid area in my 20s. But it's one of those things where it's you have to give it time to grow. It's a recognition, it's a volume game. That's what Beckett did, that's what CGC did. And PCG will make it, folks. The data is the data, and the data continues to be positive month over month, and we're doing it. And your competition thinks you're a joke, and they don't really worry about you, makes it easier. And that's why I feel so confident it's going to continue to do good. But that's my point, is, when you look at this stuff, it's interesting when you enter markets that people don't think you have a chance with. It changes the difficulty rating. Like when you go into something and immediately the competitor, you're making pizzas and you open a pizza place, Rudy's Pizza. It's got a good ring to it. And I sell calzones and subs and sandwiches and salads. If I open up that restaurant and all of a sudden there's 3 pizza places around me and they all look out the window and go, oh crap. Oh man. Do we lower price? Do we do coupons, or who are these people? I don't like this. Like when your competition is like that, it's actually more difficult because now they're going to react to you and they're actually going to adjust their behavior. Maybe they make better pizza to try to compete with you, to take your business. Maybe they lower their prices. It's harder to do. But when you do a new business and your competition is like this, bar, 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 and they go, and they don't care about you, and you can open up shop next to them, and they just go, not a chance. We're going to squash that little cockroach. What a loser. And when people are like that, they don't change their behavior. They don't lower their prices. They don't do anything. They don't react to you. They don't actually try to improve themselves or lower prices. They don't do anything. And this, ladies and gentlemen, gives you the runway to go after the market share. And again, PCG is going to break 5,000 cards a month here moving forward. Folks, Beckett is down to doing like 30, 40, 50,000 cards a month. That means we've crossed from 1% of like the volume Beckett does. Now we're up to 15% of the volume Beckett does. Oh, and by the way, in one fucking year. And technically, in the last 6 months, we've really actually pushed to grow now. Like, I maybe we're in a different planet, but when I see stuff like this, that's exciting to me. Because again, it's about proving a point. It's about doing something when people make fun of you. So, back to the video. We've discussed the rip and ship. You guys know where I stand on that. I've told you all the rip and ship is a great money maker if you have the personality and you have the business sense to do that. And that's great. I'm happy for rip and shippers. Nothing against them. Have fun. But just understand, it is not sustainable long term. That market will evolve. It will crack. It will adjust. And you need to be ready for it. And again, many rip and shippers will still make it. They'll adjust their business models and packages and what they do, which is fine. But just be aware the current state of rip and ship, just like the current state of Japanese Pokemon, is not sustainable. It's great. A lot of people are making a lot of money out there. And that makes me happy. I like it when we have positive stories. I like to see positivity and success stories when someone else does well. Unfortunately, unlike most of the internet, I'm not attracted to drama and all these bad things and who lost this. And I like success stories. When someone says, Rudy, I used to do this and I came from this and nothing and I built up. I love shit like that. That is like fuel for me. So next, back to the end of this video here, which means we're halfway through. I want to go back up to the beginning of this video about the vintage Magic the Gathering versus modern and the new stuff. It's a very intriguing thing because obviously if I had to go back in time, I never in a million years would have expected that the future would be into a period of 4 years where vintage Magic cards are negative and flat. If somebody would have told me that in 2021 or 2020, I would have laughed. I would have said, wow, that person doesn't know. They're not an expert in vintage like Rudy is. I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert. I've been doing this my whole life. Like I would literally, that would be my attitude. I would act like that person doesn't know what they're doing, and I would be the cocky Rudy going, ha ha ha. You don't know the vintage Magic market like me. Me. I would be like that, And that turned out to be wrong. If if that was a real conversation with somebody, looking back now, well, I'd be eating a giant white creamy thing would be on my face. That got weird really quick. I would be eating humble pie and stuff on my face. Whatever. Moving on. Point is, it would not have aged well. Aged like milk, as they say. In other words, it would have gone sour. And, well, here we are. As much as I really am not a fan of it, I mean, we have SpongeBob magic cards. We have Spider-Man. We have Wolverine. We've got X-Men. Final Fantasy. Doctor Who. As much as I really don't like the direction of Universes Beyond, it continues to work. And it's doing really well for Magic. I don't really understand what that means in the long game. I don't know if exotic serialized cards can endlessly just be done every year for the next 5, 10, 20 years in Magic and it just never goes away. I mean, it's crazy to think before a Secret Lair and Brothers War in 2022, I think it was, 2021. Before Brothers War in 2022, I may be slightly off there. I think it's 2022. Like, Magic sets never even had serialized cards. For like 28, 29 of the 30 years, we never even had that. And suddenly now, like, I see patron messages saying, Rudy, does the new Final Fantasy set have serialized cards? If it doesn't, I'm out. Rudy, does the new Tarkir Dragonstorm have serialized cards or I'm out? Now, of course, Wizards continues to tweak things, make them more rare, adjust it, and it's working. It kind of cringes me and makes me feel weird to say that sometimes, but it's working. I don't know if it's sustainable. I don't know if long-term we are destroying the brand internally like a cancerous disease, but in the short term, she's beautiful and she's working. Now, I don't know if she's ugly on the inside right now, but in the current market standards, this generation likes Universes Beyond, is happy with what's going on, and wants it to continue. And the confusing part is the internet and social media is going to be filled with a lot of people who are not going to want to be that way. They're not going to like to say that. They're not going to want it to, it's not, you have to understand. This is why it's so damn confusing. Social media, it's not cool to like Rudy. Like, I had this patron message the other day. Guy works in LGS for 10 years. And he tells me, like, he has to secretly watch Rudy videos, like on his phone or on his lunch break outside the store. Because other employees and some people who are very game piece army and, as I like to call, not as polished individuals, who are just fucking stupid, Timmies, they will literally attack him or cut his hours or threaten his job if he watches a Rudy video. Because it's not cool to watch Rudy videos or discuss it. Because social media will tell you very different stories that, everything here is a scam and I control the market and all these things and blah, blah, blah. The failure of other card games in the past are, because of me. And, they will tell you this narrative. And that's when you get into the situation about the cool kids. I am not one of the cool kids. I never have been, never was as a kid, never was in the real world, never was in high school or college. And in the Magic world and the collectible world, I remain the black sheep. I remain the outsider. I am not sponsored. I don't talk with Wizards of the Coast. All the cool kids on the approved channels and everything, there's a moat between us. They just don't like me. It's always been that way. And I'm at peace with that, and I'm okay with that. But understand, on the internet, that same analogy that I just told you about watching Alpha Investments is exactly what's going on with Universes Beyond. The internet will laugh, and people like me will say, wow, SpongeBob, that's gay and stupid and ugly and rainbows and, oh, it's bad and, oh, it's all terrible. We're supposed to hate it and everything. That's what a lot of Reddit groups and Discord groups and things will say, right? Right? But the reality is, let's look at the business side. Politics, gender, gay, straight, the rainbows, the cards, the images, the artwork. Put all that right here. Now let's look at the numbers. Doesn't matter how you and I feel about anything. The numbers show the secret layers blow out. People buy the fuck out of them, and it's good business. Because SpongeBob sold like crazy. All the Marvel stuff sold like crazy. The specialty secret layer. God, should put a cat and dog in a secret layer and it goes crazy. Do you see my point? You know, you can feel any way you want about what's going on in the world and the real stuff. But like I told you all with the Rudy situation, what you're allowed to say and do in the cool kid argument is a very strong analogy for the universes beyond. Everybody online, simply put, everybody online, it's cool to not be happy with SpongeBob swings at Power Rangers and defends with the Walking Dead and Wolverine attacks Storm as Rudy plays his Bearscape. Like, those are the memes because it's so absurd. It's insulting to vintage and old magic. But that is the world we're in. You can be angry and resist it, but this is where it is. And Hasbro and Magic, they're doing really well. They're doing really well. You know, it is what it is. And when you go on social media, just like Rudy and Alpha Investments, everybody complains about Universes Beyond. Everybody says it's selling out Magic. It feels like commercials and putting brands and stickers on everything. And well, that's true. That is what they're doing. It's not what it feels like. That's true. But we're back to the buts. It's cool online and social media to bash and say, you know, too expensive. I'm not buying. I'm voting with my wallet. That's the cool and correct thing to post online. But that's not what's happening in the real world. In the real world. I mean, look, I tell you all the time, I report to the public what patrons are doing in the data because I handle so much Magic. I told you all, 1 to 2% of Wizards of the Coast revenue of the entire corporation goes through me. Okay? Now, that's not majority. It's not 50%. But still, 1 to 2% of a multi-billion-dollar company going through Florida Man, I think is enough evidence and enough credibility to say, well, damn, maybe that's kind of crazy, but okay. And I'm here to tell you all, the shit is selling like crazy. If you're a patron, which you should be, unless you just don't like money, welcome to Costco. I love you. You should be a Rudy patron. You don't have to buy anything, but just watch the behind the scenes. And maybe you buy something every once in a while because you just, you like a Magic product or a Pokemon or a Weiss or a Flesh and Blood or, maybe you like a One Piece set. Maybe you like a Sorcery set. Yeah, that's great. But a lot of my patrons don't buy anything. They just want to send me random messages and they like to watch all the craziness. It's a lot of fun. For them, it's worth the $15 a month, or was that 50 cents a day? For a lot of people, they just like it. And, well, again, to tell you all the blunt reality, we move truckloads. I don't go to the post office with boxes. We have dedicated trucks that transport patrons' mail to USPS sort facilities for security. Like trucks. Okay? We don't count the labels. We base the volume of work in a day based on how many truckloads of mail have to be backed into a giant building for the post office. Like, that's how we base the volume. And when I'm telling you all that literally hundreds and thousands of boxes in patrons are buying, I mean, right now, okay, in the last week, the most popular order for patrons, you're going to laugh at this. You're going to laugh. You're going to laugh. Is a 6-box play box order. The most number one order right now is patrons buying 2 Duskmourn, 2 Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and you're going to laugh. You're going to laugh. 2 Karlov Manor. And of course, Rudy pricing is what? $118 shipped to your door. Now, of course, starting in another week, when I get my next wave, I got my pallets coming here. I got another couple hundred Tarkir play boxes coming. I bet you next month, or I guess in a week from now, when May's already here. God, wait, really? I predict the number one hottest order in May is going to be patrons buying. I'm going to have to put a limit of Tarkir play so you guys don't buy the shit on me. I already moved 7,000 boxes. You guys killed me. I bet Tarkir play for $100, Aether for 100. And I bet Foundations. And I think Duskmorn. I think the hottest order is going to be that. I think the new $100 play boxes for Aether and Tarkir are going to dominate most of the new orders starting next month. And I think, actually, and you guys are going to laugh, I think Karlov play boxes, and I think Duskmorn and Thunder Junction continue to be second place. But I think those continue to sell for the rest of the year at the 118. That's what I predict coming. But I do want to add one more thing. I still have a lot of you all who don't buy any of that from me, and you just buy the $93 Jumpstart boxes. And you're buying case. I have there's got to be at least 100 patrons that are buying a case of that every month for the last 3-4 months. That's been interesting. But anyways, I'm telling you this data because it tells me how you all feel about new Magic. And it reinforces to me that no, it's not coming to an end. And no, it's not doing bad. And no, saying I'm never buying new Magic, it's too expensive. Final Fantasy, $600-700. I'm voting with my wallet. Again, that's the cool thing to say online. We've already been over that. And, well, that's not really what's happening in the real world. In the little cell phone in your hand, as you watch me in the bathroom while your pants are down, and I thank you for bringing me in this moment. I'm very grateful. I'm here to tell you all, once again, there's a disconnect between what you're reading on these little random posts, and again, most people who make those posts and comments are, well, the bottom of the Timmy barrel. They are the people who spend the least and are the least informed. So be very careful, because the data tells a different story. That is the reality. So conclusion today, everybody. I think Pokemon will be leading indicator when the market cycle changes. I can't get a vibe on the market. The stock market, the tariffs, and Trump and interest rates are too up in the air right now. We don't know. It's going to take another 30, 60, 90 days, I think, for the stock market to level out. We could have more legs down, which you should be buying and being greedy. Or we could just be trending sideways, up 1,000, down 1,000. But now we're just kind of, it's like this, but now we're kangaroo market. We're kangarooing. We're not actually going lower. We're not actually going up. We're just kind of sideways. Oh, look, we're down 1,000. Oh, look, now we're up 500. Oh, we're down 200. Oh, we're up 500 again. We may not really, I think we're in for a lot of that until we get more clarity and stability, which is going to take a couple months. Now, if it gets really bad, yeah, you need to be greedy. But I do think if it gets extremely bad, like Bitcoin collapses hard, the stock market, the Dow goes from whatever to 29,000. We go from 39, 40,000 on the Dow. We break new lows, multi-year lows. That will have a spillover impact on the CCG market. Now, it doesn't correlate 1-to-1, but it is, if it gets extreme enough, it will force people to, whoa, things are getting scary. I'm gonna wait a few. I'm gonna just see what happens here. So there is the ability for that to spill, but right now it doesn't look like it doesn't feel like that, right? That's all, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know you guys blew me out of the Nikki Weiss set. And I warn you guys, the next 60 days, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, Team Rocket 2.0, Flesh and Blood, High Seas, with the golden packs. And have you seen some of those new heroes? There's a lot coming, folks. I do have some more Pokemon. I just ran another Pokemon throwback sale on Paradox Rift for you guys. I do have more Pokemon sales coming up again. I just, the demand's too crazy. It sells too much. So we usually just take whatever market price is and do a small discount. And at least it gives you guys a chance to get some if you missed out. Otherwise, I'll see you next year when we run the same sale again, and we'll raise the prices more. That's about it, everybody. Hope you guys are doing good. Everyone's healthy and stable. And just remember, folks, life is complicated. Life is very short. And one of the worst, shittiest things about being human is the older we are, the more we understand it. And the older we are, the more we feel like we figure things out. And by the time we really get more clarity on a lot of things in life, we're old. And that's why I tell you all, being a part of the CCG world is a beautiful thing. It's really a fun place to be. And a lot of the extreme emotions of good and bad, if you really sweep all that away and just kind of enjoy it, it really is a fun thing to be, you know? The problem is it can be very murky and very tough, and because things are just so volatile and there's so much, well, emotions and hate online. And, I think many times we all lose sight of just how much fun and how lucky we are to be here and in good enough health to enjoy this stuff. I think it's a really underappreciated thought process. I mean, I don't sit here telling you guys to buy all my stuff because you're going to outperform the S&P 500. That's really, I don't think I've ever said that in 10 years, but I hope it does. I hope it does okay. Because that's just the icing on the cake to have a hobby that you can enjoy and it actually has like a fun market to it. Most hobbies, it's not like that. You just sink your money in and your money's gone. We're all very lucky and very privileged to be here and to enjoy a hobby that's so successful and so big that you can actually make money in your hobby. You can enjoy it. When you work hard all week and get your paycheck, you can trade it and trade your money and time for cards. And the beautiful thing about, anti-game piece mindset is, in the future, that money you worked for and that time you traded, well, hopefully your cards hold value. That represents the time that you traded in the past to enjoy them. And that's a beautiful thing for everybody. It helps stores, helps distribution and card companies make more cards because people buy them. And it helps people feel good. It assigns a really nice feeling to have memories and nostalgia and enjoyment out of something. And then it actually has financial value. That's a very interesting, unique dynamic that can't be shared with most hobbies in the world. It's a very, very unique, very, very special blend. And I think that's almost a magical thing. How about that? We'll leave this video on that. It's almost a magical thing. Maybe that's why they call magic. Because I remember the joke of many things is, magic always survives. It always makes it. It's literally magical how they do that. Beautiful day, everybody. Salute to the world. Have a great day.